All right, day 3, video 3. Things are getting easier. I'm getting more comfortable with just doing these things. Yeah, dude, the title of the video, Everything is a Psy-Op. It feels that way. And, I'm not saying literally everything is a psyop, but, there are organic news stories that exist, but they tend to get buried in these news stories that are created for us. I think I touched on this in my first video. I'm not sure, but we're going to touch on it now. So in the last 2 weeks, we were talking a lot about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and all the allegations, not the allegations, what they were doing, how they were exploiting young women and in prostitution for blackmail, blackmailing the political elite, the financial elite, the scientific elite. And we've known about it for years, and now there's this push for getting it out of the news cycle. We don't want to talk about Epstein. We don't want to talk about Epstein's connections with Trump. And we definitely don't want to talk about if there's any Israeli connection to that. So am I even allowed to, I don't know. Am I allowed to talk about this on YouTube? We're going to find out, but I'm talking about it. So yeah, they don't, there's been a large push to get that out of the news. And so this is where you can start to see that it's a psyop. It's coming from the talking heads on the alt-right media. This week they all started shifting away from anything that had to do with Epstein or Israel or Trump and started talking about, this Biden era and Biden era stuff. Fucking election fraud. Obama, Tulsi Gabbard comes out and basically says that, Obama's one of the people that helped create the Russian collusion narrative. Who gives a fuck? Like, that shit was 10 years ago. We're in 2025. Shit's way worse than it was 10 years ago. That was all a psyop. The Russia fucking collude, that was a psyop. And so now they're using a psyop they used before, which was Russia collusion, which was literally created by intelligence agencies, whether they be private or governmental. And so now they're using a psyop they used 10 years ago on us again, to get us to not focus on the fucked up shit that they're doing and who's kind of running things. They're only able to do this because the attention span of the average person is like nothing these days. I've created content my entire life, and it feels like humans are so super saturated with material and with content that they don't even watch it. I feel like a lot of people don't even read their text messages really, or you send them a link. Sending people links now is I feel people don't even look at those. I can create a great video and barely anybody watches it. It just feels there's a real so maybe it's the attention span. Maybe there's something deeper than that. It's just a disconnect within humans. Maybe humans have forgotten what it is to be human. Maybe humans have been stripped of their humanity. It feels that way sometimes because part of humanity is giving a fuck and caring about the future and trying to make things better. I don't know. That's something that I've always had instilled in me. Maybe that's not in every human being. Inherently there's a duality to life, and there is good and evil. I understand that. But I would think on the whole, and the norm would be that the average person just wants to be happy and just kind of wants to make the world a better place and leave it a better place for their offspring and their future, but it doesn't feel that way anymore. And it's most likely by design. And so, yeah, things like incredibly large news stories, like politicians are fucking teenage girls on an island, and it's all an intelligence operation set up by a foreign country so they can blackmail these people. I mean, that's the news story of the century. But It's starting to feel like Trump's whole purpose was maybe not whole purpose, but Trump has been cleaning up the loose ends of this operation since it came to light. Epstein's dead. You have people in the Trump administration who, the DA down in Florida that cut Epstein his original plea deal. You have Ghislaine Maxwell going to jail. But I mean, even today, if you go on the news, Trump was asked if he would pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, and he said he's not going to pardon her, but he hasn't ruled it out. What the fuck, dude? Like, you haven't ruled out pardoning a child molester or a child predator. Virginia, what's her name? Virginia Guthrie. One of the original whistleblowers in the Epstein case. She's fucking dead. She died on Trump's watch. I don't even. That whole thing's really fishy. She's like hit by a bus, and they're like, "Oh, this woman was hit by a bus. She's not going to make it. She has like 4 days to live." Then it dropped out of the news cycle for like 2 weeks. Then they're like, "She's dead." Dude, we live in really weird times, but pay attention and figure out, like, are they trying to distract me from things? Are there narratives that they're trying to replace? If you look at yourself like a computer or like an operating system, media is used as a firmware update. If people watch the same news channel for multiple hours a day and they're watching the same stories, it becomes propaganda, and it is easily it easily manipulates people's minds, much like a firmware update. It's like a software update, and you can see it in people. The way you can see it in people is what they talk about. If you have friends, and a lot of people don't, because most people live in echo chambers these days. But if you have friends outside echo chambers, or you go to work, the majority of the time, the people all talk about the same stuff. Oh my God, Ozzy Osbourne died. Oh my God, did you hear about Theo from The Cosby Show? A fucking shark ate him. I don't know, but you can see this shit. Like, people talk about what they are programmed to talk about. And people are incredibly programmed. I think a lot of this stems from, sorry, I was moving a text. I think a lot of this stems from the pandemic and the amount of screen time that people were exposed to. I don't know, it feels like a lot has changed within humanity since the pandemic. Am I allowed to call it that on YouTube? Wait, maybe I don't even know what I'm allowed to say on here. But yeah, it feels like a lot has changed since then. Including the Psy-Ops, they've gotten crazy. So you have all the Psy-Ops that are trying to distract you from the Epstein-Trump-Israel connection, or the Epstein politicians in general connection. Another Psy-Op that I'm pretty sure was a Psy-Op is this whole ICE thing, dude. If you're of sound mind and you have reason, and you took basic high school statistics, the numbers of people that came into this country over the last 20 years illegally. And if you do the math, we're talking about tens of millions of people that have entered this country illegally. And if you do the math, the logistics and the manpower and the amount of people that would have to be removed from this country daily is unachievable with whatever's going on right now. What you're seeing with ICE right now, and I don't think the timing of it was a coincidence. If your attention span can focus back to when the ICE raids and all the ICE and the anti-ICE protests started, there was a large global event that just happened maybe a week after the ICE stuff started. And this global event has ties to the Trump administration. And the Trump administration is heavily influenced by the ties that this global event has. And that global event was the war in Iran. And if you look at the ICE raids, if you look at the ICE tactics, if you look at the number of people detained, if you look at the number of people deported, in no way is this really going to make a dent in the illegal immigration numbers. You also have Trump kind of appeasing. It would almost be the left with, we're not going to deport hotel workers, we're not going to deport farm workers, we're not going to deport essential employees. It's all theater. It's theater for the left. It's for fear. It's to get them afraid. It's to rile them up. It's to get their focus on the Trump government and its Gestapo ways. And on the right, it's to appease the base that believes there are too many illegal immigrants in this country, all while serving the purpose of basically distracting the group that would be protesting the war with Iran, which was the left, the anti-war crowd, the anti-Zionist Israel crowd. Those people, all their focus and all their protest power was on the Trump administration, ICE, and these immigration policies. All the while, Israel's bombing Iran, and the rest is history. The ICE raids continue, and a lot of it still looks like theater to me. The ICE raids, going into fields and all that stuff. I mean, if these guys wanted to do what they wanted to do, they would just seal off neighborhoods and go house to house and put families on buses, check their papers, and that would be the real Gestapo. That's how this would work. And the numbers, there would have to be, tens of thousands of illegal immigrants deported daily for there even to be a dent in the influx of illegal immigration that's taken place over the last 2 decades. So more Psy-Ops. And so I think the way to really figure out what the Psy-Op is you have to figure out what the real news story is. What's real? What was real in that time was the attack on Iran and its nuclear infrastructure and its government and its military and the people of Iran. What wasn't really real is these Hollywooded up ICE raids, these controlled protests, controlled by unions, controlled by billionaire investors and NGOs that kind of always fund these things, because there's all a purpose to it. I don't think people understand how controlled our society is at this point. Every aspect of our society is controlled and is completely curated. You don't see anything on the mainstream that they don't want you to see. And the internet is getting smaller and smaller by the day. If you know anything about dead internet theory, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled, everybody. I don't know, if you have any type of critical thinking, it's pretty easy to see through all this stuff. But I guess we'll all just wait for what the next Psy-Op is, or what the next actual real event will be. It's interesting. It feels like